Void Mage Gamer is now partnered with Flipside Gaming, so you can use the promo code on their website, all caps Void Mage, to get 10% off all orders $10 or more. It's a great way that you can support both Flipside Gaming and Void Mage Gamer's channel. Also, until October 7th, all orders that use the promo code will be automatically entered to win a booster box of Guilds of Ravnica. Entries are limited one per person just to keep things fair, so be sure to check that out. Hello guys, well it looks like we have some interesting news here about Brawl, or not really surprising news. It kind of failed. I don't think any of us saw this coming. If you're a fan of tiny leaders, you may have. Well, there's an article on the Magic site. I'll link it in the description below, pretty much talking about Guilds of Ravnica, hyping it up as usual, to be expected whenever they have a new set come out. And sort of throwing it in there, they mention Brawl Sunset. Here, they're basically just going to tell you that on Magic Online, the Brawl events, both the 2-player queue and the League, are going to be retired, and it all came down to participation data. Just seems that not many people were interested in it, and why should you devote a lot of time and effort into a format if not many people are going to be participating? Doesn't make much sense to me, and I know what a lot of people are going to say. This was a terrible idea. Anybody could have told you that trying to insert standard rotation into the Commander format, trying to make it more competitive, was a bad idea. This is an inherently casual format. Even in competitive EDH, there's no rotation. You don't have to worry about anything. So why not just play that if you want to play super competitive? You shouldn't have to try to compromise and blend both standard and Commander together. It just wouldn't work out. Now, Brawl is in no way like tiny leaders, but when you give some sort of restriction, whether it's rotation or making creatures seem C3 or less, you have to play those. Most people who are drawn to the Commander format are drawn to it because you can have 100 different cards in the same deck and never really have to worry about them rotating, never really have to worry about replacing them. Even the ban list, you rarely see cards added to it. You rarely have to worry about taking cards out of your deck. Even if it's just one card, it's one card. You can easily replace it, and usually in a singleton deck, that card is probably not going to be missed. But right off the bat, this format had some issues. They had to ban Brawl Chief of Compliance for fear of it just absolutely taking it over. He's a pretty good commander, especially when you have restrictions on standard legal cards. You're going to run into this problem more often than not. And just flexibility with lands, your mana base is going to be a little weird. Just didn't really seem like something that was going to work out too well. And especially people who are already playing Commander, you probably had problems finding people who were interested in building a Brawl deck in paper. So imagine how much harder it was going to be to find people on Magic Online. Yeah, no thanks. I think I'm just going to stick with something that I already know, something that is already fun, doesn't really need to be fixed. An introduction of a new format should be a completely new format. It shouldn't have to be something that is like Commander, but a standard rotation. And I think that's really where this went wrong. It wasn't unique in any way, and to many people, it just felt like a way to sell the new sets even more to Commander players who aren't necessarily going out buying multiple boxes in the newest set, because Commander players are usually pretty good with just singles. They don't need to buy a bunch of sealed product. Not saying standard players do, but I think they're a lot more likely to, especially if you need play sets. Do I think it failed in the same way that Tiny Leaders did? Kind of, yes and no. Tiny Leaders just became boring. You only had a few options to choose from as far as commanders go, so it was an easily solved format, whereas Brawl just didn't really gather enough interest apparently. So they both kind of tried to take what made Commander great and build on it, unfortunately making tweaks to a format that is already arguably your best format. When you consider problems, most people don't complain about Commander, they usually complain about Standard, Modern, and Legacy to some extent. Commander, the most complaining that we have is Deadeye Navigator, and that's about it. So it's nice to gain some perspective here every now and then. Unfortunately, this is probably going to discourage them from doing anything like this in the future, which I don't want them to be discouraged entirely from trying to promote and create new formats. I want them to be innovative. You shouldn't just build off a format that already exists, try to create a brand new one that has nothing to do with Commander, and I might be more interested in it. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, yay, screw Wizards, but that's not what it's about. It's about the betterment of the game. I'm not entirely certain that this was just a cash grab, just a way for them to sell some more standard set cards. I do think it was kind of an interesting concept, though. The direction left a lot to be desired. There wasn't really that much they could do with it, and I think they usually use Magic Online as a way to test out these formats formats, kind of like what they did with Pauper. I think Pauper is closer to being a successful format, and even then, Pauper doesn't see as much play as I probably thought it would. You have some interesting deck builds with Pauper, but I think it's closer to being a solved format. With Commander, you just have a beautiful thing here. They're trying to build off of it. They're trying to sell more decks, probably. I mean, if they were capable of selling as pre-constructed Brawl decks, they would have done it. That's probably the thing they're most disappointed about, is that there wasn't enough interest around it. But hey, give us something new. That's the way to solve it. If you're having a problem with creating something unique, making unique product ideas, instead of saturating the market with more garbage, think of something brand new. Create an absolutely unique format that has nothing to do with Commander, and you might actually gain some interest in it. I mean, I think that's honestly part of the reason why Pauper is doing somewhat better than these other formats, because it's not like Commander, it's not even like Legacy or Vintage, but it kind of plays like other Eternal formats. You just have a unique playstyle with that is going to feel a little bit different from other formats, and that's probably why Pauper is successful to some degree. Still leaves a lot to be desired as far as I'm concerned. Not as much interest in it as Commander, but you just have to keep trying. You have to keep thinking up new ideas. Maybe you have to create new cards just to inspire a new format altogether. I mean, I think this is honestly why the player base is more frustrated with your products more than anything. It's your lack of innovation. I mean, you could give us Commander related products until the end of time, and yeah, we would probably be satisfied, but I think at the end of the day, we want something more. We want something unique. Something like Plane Chase hasn't caught on yet. Well, get over it. Try something new. If they just want to mope about Brawl failing within a year of its announcement, they're probably not going to get much done anyway. But hey, like I've said in previous videos, sometimes it just has to get much worse before it can get better. If you want to build a strong foundation, rock bottom's a pretty good place to do it. But anyway, you guys have a wonderful day. Void here signing off. See you all next video.